This episode was made possible by Complete Wellness Medical Centers. Not feeling well? Stop by and schedule an appointment with them. They can help you out. Welcome to another episode of Interesting by Design. I'm Ed. I'm here today with Len Morreale, and he has a great story he wants to share with you about how he started a chamber in the past. And this is going to be really interesting because I know a lot of people find our conversation to be interesting. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. With that being said, Lenny, thank you for being on the show.
Ed, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I always do these like virtually, so you're my first in-person interview conversation, and I'm really excited about it because normally I'm just always staring at the screen or trying to think and do all that. You're right here.
Well,
so
I'd like to think I'm special.
You are special. So now tell me about Lenny Morreale.
Well, Len Morreale has had a great life so far, and I look forward to what opportunities come next for it. In short, I've always been a craftsman. It's a family trait. My grandfather, my father, and myself. I own a company called a Perfect Closet and Cabinets. We're listed as a manufacturer across the United States.
Wow.
At
Okay.
the height of my company, I had 46 employees, 3 installation crews, 2 factory shifts running.
So let me ask you a question, Lenny. You had 46 employees. You had this nationally running company. Did you get involved in the chamber and start it at the height of your business, or when did you make the decision to go the direction of saying, you know what, this area needs a chamber, I need to get involved and help make that happen for the community?
Great question. So I had belonged to other chambers of commerce that were in alignment with the size of my business. Chambers that have been around for quite a number of years. Sanford being one of them, where there's a lot of industry and a lot of reputable established businesses. The DeLand Chamber, which again has a lot of industry, a lot of corporate entities involved in it. Somewhere about a decade ago, my business was running fine and it was running good. But there were a couple of things I had noticed when I went to some of these chamber events, was that we were starting to get card collectors. And
what is a card collector?
A card, that's a term I just use, where it's somebody who comes into a chamber get together and runs around and says, hi, my name is so-and-so, do you have a business card? And they add you to their mailing list or a calling list, and they try to solicit.
Really have a relationship.
There's no relationship.
Okay.
And I guess, I always kind of felt, wow, how silly, they're really kind of missing out. I was approached by several of my colleagues, and they said, hey, we have a need right here in the Tri-City area, which would be DeBary, Deltona, Orange City, for a Chamber of Commerce. And, we kind of stepped back and we kind of looked at it and we said, well, that's great, but how are we going to make this work? The dynamics of this particular chamber would need to be different.
How so?
Well, if you take Deltona for an example, Deltona does not have a enormous amount of industry or commercial business.
Yeah, it's more residential.
It's more residential, and that makes a lot more home-based businesses. I had reached out to a good friend of mine who used to be the mayor of Deltona, who also had the Deltona Chamber of Commerce, and sought a little advice from him, and brought that back to the collective group of founding board members. And we changed the dynamics of what a chamber can be to fit this particular environment.
Okay.
It was more of a social get together, and building those relationships, which I always find are very key. A chamber of commerce does two things. It brings businesses to each other. But a lot of people have the misconception of, what are you going to do for me? And one of the things that we had to kind of teach some of these self-employed, home-based business entrepreneurs was that we're not going to go out, we're not going to exchange business cards and not develop relationships.
Yeah.
So one of the things, as we got the chamber kind of going, was we established a couple of and you can laugh at it. We established a program called Networking 101.
That's a very good name, actually.
That was what we kind of came up with. And what we did was we kind of got the business owners of the chamber, who are at all different levels of their business. Some were new business owners. Some were business owners that have established businesses, but haven't been able to take them to the next step.
Gotcha.
And so with the Networking 101, we worked on a couple of different things. We worked on taglines.
Now, what is a tagline? Just for someone that might be listening.
A tagline is just something that somebody would remember your business or remember about your business.
Okay.
The one that we used for my company, a perfect closet and cabinets. If your cabinetry was looking sad, or your closet was a disaster, and this is where I kind of got to enjoy it a little bit. I would say, we take that blah and make it
ooh la la.
And that's a tagline.
Yes, it is. And I've actually stolen that one time for another networking event. So I just want to be honest.
You're welcome to. You're welcome to.
It was wonderful, very brilliantly set up. So.
And it got people engaged. People were delivering my tagline in an audience.
Yeah, everyone started saying ooh la la.
Because they
40,
wanted
50, 60 people.
That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So we taught some of these businesses how to create that tagline for themselves, and some of them we actually helped create for them.
That's great.
The next thing we kind of did was teach them about learning how to network properly.
Okay.
I've always been a very firm believer that if you're going to give people opportunities to do business, they sometimes will feel obligated to return that favor.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of the mentalities of people that go to chamber meetings. Oh, how am I going to get business from these people?
Yeah.
Worry more about, how am I going to get business for these people?
Yeah.
And it was a different mindset. And again, the smaller the business, the more personal you need to be. So once we kind of got that impression through to the chamber members and the smaller businesses, they started finding the benefit behind that.
Gotcha.
The next thing that we kind of started to tackle a little bit was that we had several businesses that did. I'm not going to. I don't want to embarrass anybody, so I'm going to make a little bit of this up, but
okay,
it kind of goes along with the theme. So we would have business owners that were roofing contractors and pressure washers, and they washed cars and they fixed cars on the weekends, and they did installation, and they also could do your taxes for you.
They were the kind of jack of all trades.
They were kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none. And when you looked at their business card, you would have to turn it over to the other side to read the rest of the things and services that they offer.
Yeah, they literally handed you a menu.
It was a menu, yes, not a service. So we tried to get them to see the value in what their primary business would be, and try to get them to focus on that and stick to that. My father, who I love dearly, has always told me that you can be a jack of all trades and a master of none,
Mm-hmm.
or you can be the absolute best at one thing and be
Yep.
that. And I believe that that's a pretty good place to be.
Absolutely. And as a business owner myself, I know for a fact that you grow in business and you sort of evolve from where you are on day one to where you are current day today. And that's healthy to have that evolution. And it's healthy to find out, I'm going to try this idea out. I'm going to see if it works. And you know what? It's just not profitable. I'm going to let that one go. And I think my takeaway is when you get involved in a chamber, there is a desire for everyone to sort of say, I want to put you into this neat little square and put you on the shelf because I know you do X and I know you do Y, I know you do Z. Where as a new business owner, you might want to test things out and try things and be the jigsaw puzzle of life for your business and say, these 5 things work and those 4 things don't. So I'm going to push it aside and sort of grow. And I know it's kind of unusual because I'm more listen when I do these interviews and don't talk as much, but I know my journey as an entrepreneur has evolved greatly. And you probably have seen that over the course of many years. And I don't think it's ending either. I think I'm still evolving into a better business owner. And like, there's no better success, as I say, in business, and you may agree with it, than being able to go to the store and buy your family food and literally put food on the table. So, and any which way you do that is not a bad thing.
No.
So-
And, the one thing that we used to try to express to these businesses was that while you may be involved in many fields, try to narrow it down to what is your most profitable, or what is it that you want people to help find business for you. See, this is again what a chamber is. This is what networking is having a workforce work for you for free through a common thread. Now, there is no shame in failing at something. I will tell you that there is probably no less than 100 different ways to make a cabinet door. I found 46 ways I did not want to manufacture a cabinet door before I found one way that I wanted to call our protocol for the office, for the shop.
That brings up a question for me. Is based upon your way of doing business in your business, that's what carries you forward into the thinking about the chamber of how to make it different and unique with these training sessions to help small business owners be successful?
Well, it did. Years ago, I had listened to a program that was available on disc, and I'm sorry, I wish I could give kudos to the program, but it was about how to manage a large workforce.
Okay.
And part of that training program was to take people's ideas and allow them to do what's comfortable for them, as long as the end result was still what you wanted. I implemented that in my own manufacturing facility and set up challenges and rewards for my employees that if they could think of a better, faster, more productive way of producing a end product or part of the end product, that we would actually shut down the shop and we would have time challenges.
Really?
Really. Now you would say, well, that's not very productive. Well, no, it's not. But I've got 46 people thinking, how can I do something better? Because at the end of the day, there was a $50 or $100 bonus if they were able to be successful.
Yeah.
Now, when you do something, I learned a long time ago that most employees are satisfied with a pat on the back and a job well done. The paycheck takes supplement of that verbal affirmation.
Yeah.
But if you produce both of those and you give your employees the freedom to think and the freedom to find what works best for them, and you can reward them if they can prove that, cheer them on and have everybody cheer them on.
Yeah, because mistakes lead to more efficiencies and doing things more effectively. So I 100% agree with the idea that you're not really failing. you're failing, like, not in the way of like an A or F in school.
Correct.
But you're actually failing to know this doesn't work and why it doesn't work and not to do it again. I think in our society, you might disagree with me, we were based on like the Scantron sheet of thinking. You have four choices, A, B, C, or D. And if you don't pick B because that's the right answer, then you failed. Where I think in life, it's the other extreme. It's like you want to pick A, C, and D to understand why those don't work, and B is truly the best answer.
Yeah, I would say that you're probably pretty close to that.
Okay. Why? How do you think I'm missing the mark?
Well, I think we've turned into a society of people that are no longer empowered or enabled
Okay.
to make those choices or to those decisions in businesses. A small business doesn't really experience that. You have, maybe the owner, maybe the owner's spouse, maybe a family member, or one or two employees. They kind of run the business as they see fit. When you start getting into the, above 20, above 30, small business, above 50, I think that's what the federal government still deems as a small business, above 50 employees.
Yep.
But you start losing that freedom to be able to make those decisions. Think about it like this. Do you ever call a service company because there's a problem with your bill, or there was a problem with an overcharge, or there was an issue of some sort, and you get the customer service rep on the telephone, and the customer service reps, well, this is what the rules are, blah, blah, blah. And after a few minute conversation, well, let me speak to a supervisor. And that's what we all do.
Yeah.
Because that person that you're talking to now is no longer empowered to make any decision at
Because
that
they
level.
never told you I don't have that power to
You don't
do
have that
so,
power to do so.
or they just
Correct.
don't know the answer to do so.
Well, they're not. I don't believe they're empowered to do so.
Okay, that's fair.
At least that's been my experience.
Okay.
You get the supervisor, and in a 2-minute conversation, usually that supervisor is able to resolve that problem, or you take it to the next level, who is now empowered to do something for you. I didn't want that in my business, and kind of going back to the chamber side of it, we didn't want to see those obstacles in the chamber for the members in the community that wish to be part of that. We wanted everybody to have an equal say-so. We wanted everybody to be able to participate, regardless of what level your business was at, or how many employees you had, or whatever other obstacles you wish to try to throw in there. And that was kind of important. Again, it's a home-based business chamber. While we did have some larger corporate sponsors.
At the time, it was more home based. It was like
more home based, right?
Yeah.
Right. Which gave us unique opportunities. Again, you will be very surprised if you allow people to shine and allow people to kind of do what they can do, and give them the opportunity to do those things. They can really surprise you sometimes.
I guess that brings up a question. The dynamic of the board when it first was formed, what was your initial thoughts on it, and what was your impressions being a business owner that had a fairly large business? Could you share a little bit about that?
Well, I can. So I was approached by Dale Vernese, who had also been our accountant for the corporation for many years. Very dear friend, and he had informed me, "Hey, we're going to be creating a local chamber, and I want you on the board." And I said, "Well, okay. Tell me a little bit more about this." Where are we going? What are we doing? What's our direction? What's our motivation? Why are we doing this? And after some discussions with him and several of the other board members who had agreed to be on it, I believe Ann Plock
Yes.
was also on it, Denise White, and again, these are all business owners that I know and respect,
Yeah.
from the community. We kind of started thinking and saying, well, if we run this direction and we try to be like, like the big dogs, like the big, city chambers, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we adjusted the membership fees. We adjusted the way we did things. And I would say, instead of being more worried about having a chamber building where we had brochures on every one of our members and we had this chamber book with all these names and numbers in it, we again felt that it was probably more important to do more community events and social events to get our name out there, the chamber name, and to get our membership exposed to the different businesses.
In the community as well.
In the community,
because
correct.
That's where the business sometimes is at.
And we picked up a lot of businesses. Thank you to the art center there in DeBerry. They allowed us to meet there once a week for a meet and greet kind of meeting. I believe that we used a bank, the second floor of the bank offices, for some of our education workshops.
Yep.
And then ribbon cuttings were any place there was in town that we could, we could go to, we could be participating in.
Yeah.
We did do some after hours social events, which people really seem to have a good time at. And I believe that was very key and instrumental to the success of the chamber being able to take off and hold its own ground and gain momentum.
Okay. My question to you also is, when the board formulated, did the business leaders, because I know it's different than joining like Toastmasters Club or some of the other groups that are out there, did the business leaders all embrace the same idea, or was there like differing views and opinions in the onset, or how was that in the early days?
Wow. From what I remember, I believe that when we were forming it, I believe that we had that menu that we said earlier, that menu on that business card of, we're going to do this, and we kind of looked at it, and we tried a couple of things and they didn't work. So we put them by the side. We tried a couple other things and we did work, and we chose to keep those.
Okay.
And I think, everybody had something of value that they wanted to bring to it, either from their experiences in other chambers or rotaries, or things that they said, hey, these chambers are too, and they wouldn't do those kinds of things.
Gotcha.
And so we tried them. I don't think we ever turned to anybody and said, that's a horrible idea, we're not going to do that. I think everybody was pretty well receptive of everybody's ideas, and we tried it and saw how it kind of went.
Gotcha. So more or less, it's safe to say that everyone was coming together because they were not finding their needs met in other chambers, and they wanted to start something new where they could possibly get their needs met while also helping the needs that may not being addressed at that time, because I know things have changed. And the reason why I asked this question, I'm asking these line of questions, is 90% of the time, most of the chambers in our country were started 100, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, maybe 75 years ago if they're a younger chamber. So having an interview to talk to someone that founded a chamber is kind of rare, because most of those people are long gone, and they're in the cemetery. So I'm asking these questions because it's kind of like, I'm really curious, because like, so there's so many things that are just established now, and like you don't have the thought process of the founders. So thank you for sharing, and that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah. I think if I understood the question in there, I think there was a need in
Mm-hmm.
this area. And we're not pioneers in that sense in this area. There have been other people who tried to lead the charge,
Mm-hmm.
but for one reason or another was not able to see it successfully through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's in part because the teams that from the information I was able to gather from those that had done something in the past, were trying to imitate what worked for the extremely established chambers.
Gotcha.
And they weren't recognizing what the immediate need was of the local community.
Gotcha.
Which was a bit of a stumbling block for us too.
Mm-hmm.
A chamber needs membership. Membership costs something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And sometimes when you're dealing with a home base,
when you're dealing with a home-based business, it's a different, $200 is a different value.
yeah. And for a first time startup, $200 might be a great value compared to what other chambers are charging, but they don't know any wise. And
But
there's
what
some
am I
sticker
getting?
shock.
What am I getting for my money?
Yeah.
What am I getting for my money? That's really what the question is in everybody's mind. Whether you're a consumer buying products or you're joining an organization,
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to get for my money?
Yeah. And I know like there's other organizations out there like BNI where you can basically it's a lead referral organization
Mhm.
and very, very good.
Mhm.
And they can answer the question right out of the gate. Well, we're going to give you leads. We're a lead sales organization. We're in the chamber. It's more of we are a relationship based organization. And for a first time entrepreneur, that may seem foreign to them because they want to get the sales. They say, okay, I'm going to spend a couple $100, but I'm going to get 50, 100 sales over the course of the year out of this chamber, or it's going to be a failure. So like the eye and the prize is a little bit different between the different types of organizations. So it sounds like you were trying to give more, like give more value. Is that fair? A fair assessment?
I wouldn't say it's more value. Value is perceived by each person differently.
Okay,
Um,
this is true.
and let me just back up 1 second there with the statement that I'm going to join a chamber and I'm going to get business. That does not happen. That does not happen. You get out of something what you put into it.
Yeah, you put nothing into it, you get nothing out of it.
If you're going to go around and you're going to be that card collector, you're going to get a lot of names and a lot of telephone numbers and a lot of addresses and a lot of emails.
Mm-hmm.
And you can email blast these people until they tell you to stop. But you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
You sit down, you get to know some people, you have a lunch with them. You learn a little bit more about their business. What do they do? How do you do it? What do you charge? How do I sell for you? What does a good customer for you look like? And
you might not be the customer. You might be the conduit to give a referral for a customer.
Well, you yourself should never be the customer. In networking proper,
mm-hmm.
You are never the customer.
Yeah.
You are a vessel to go find that person customers.
Yeah.
You have your own business.
I do.
You do.
Yes.
I should never be your customer. Mm-hmm. Even though I have been your customer in the past for various things.
Thank you very much for being my customer.
No worries.
Yep.
But I'm not the catch you want.
Exactly. And that's what you're trying to share.
It's my contacts. It's the people that I know.
Yeah.
Hey, I need something printed. Hey, I need a website designed. Hey, I need what is it? Search engine optimization,
social media, all that good stuff. Yeah.
When I'm talking to a colleague of mine, when I'm talking to a customer of mine
mm-hmm.
who says, "Oh yeah, my business, I just can't get my internet thing working right." No. Oh, I got a guy. You have a guy, Len? Yes, I have a guy. Let me call him. Let me get him for you. You shouldn't be looking to me as your source of income. You should be looking at the context. And this was, again,
It's
something
true,
else that we
yeah.
taught a lot of the businesses, and there were even established businesses that, had to take a step back. Um, it's funny. Um, my business, I make myself a business plan every single year, even currently. It's not a very big, complicated thing. It's a one-page form. It says, how much do I want to produce? How much do I want to make? How much do I want to do? How hard do I want to work? How many days a week do I want to work? And that is a business plan.
And a lot of people in business don't write a business plan.
They don't write a business plan.
Yeah.
And so they set themselves up for failure right at the beginning of the year. A business plan can be modified quarterly, monthly, as needed.
Yep.
That was one of the things that we brought to this particular chamber, was teaching people that a business plan does not have to be this 57-page documentation that you submit to a bank. This is an agreement that you're making to yourself. These are your goals.
Yeah.
And if you don't have this roadmap,
yeah,
how are you going to know when you've arrived at success?
And exactly. And I think tuning it down to where they are and what they see themselves going. I mean, a 50-page document might be good if you're going to a bank, or if you say, you know what, in 10 years, I want a franchise. You need to have everything franchisable. But if you're saying in 10 years, I want to retire and sell my business right off, you don't need a 50-page, or unless you like really academic and you want to go deep dive everything, then go forth and conquer. But to your point, like 1 to 10 pages might make sense, really depending upon industry dynamics, years of experience, and everything else. I think that aspect of like teaching people how to be good entrepreneurs is great, because we have a lot of business opportunities in our community that are multi-level marketing in nature, or network marketing, where the philosophy is, and you might disagree, go join a group, find 5 people, sign up 5 people, get those 5 people to sign up 5 people, go to that group again, find another 5 people, sign up 5 people, rinse, wash, repeat, and you're going to be wildly successful in making $10,000 a month off of X business model that we have produced. So for me, I find it to be very refreshing that you're basically saying, no, we're going to look at things in a different way as a chamber board, as a chamber founder, to say, we're not going to go in there and say, find 5 people to sign up for your business today.
Right. Well, we had to. We had to, because that works, again, for membership drives for established chambers that already have 800, 900, 1,000 companies in them. We were working with a base of probably 25 or 30 companies locally at different levels of experience, different levels of sizes, different economic strengths, and different value that they could bring to the chamber themselves. So sizing up what we had and what we needed to do, and I think the chamber was mostly successful, again, because of the outside events that we did. Because people were like, well, wow, I want to be part of that. Or somebody was opening up a business and they weren't even a member of the chamber, and here's 30 people showing up to your open house, cutting a ribbon with the newspaper there and everything else, and they go, gosh, this was so cool. I want to be part of this.
I was successful.
That was it. We put it out there. So here you are. Here it is. Let's go grab it, and let's spread that enthusiasm.
I like that. That's awesome. So that takes me a little step forward, because obviously there's beginning, middle, and end to everything we do in life, and no one wants to admit it. But at what point in time, as a chamber founder, did you decide I want to step off of the freight trains, high-speed train of the chamber board, and what inspired that reason for happening, and when did you decide to do it?
Well, I have a little different philosophy in life than some people do, I guess. Um, it's my opinion that in volunteer organizations such as this or anything else, um, you shouldn't aspire to be a leader of that organization
Forever, or just like
Oh,
to
you
be a
would just,
leader
I don't
in
know, you
general?
just shouldn't even, I mean, it just shouldn't be something like, oh, I want to be a leader, I want to be a leader, I want to be a leader.
Okay. Okay.
It should be something that happens either naturally or in my opinion, out of obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was asked to be part of the leadership team. And I was honored to be
Mm-hmm.
asked, and I will tell you that I did ask, give me a day or two to think about this. Um, but once we got it up and we got it running and things were kind of moving, I believe I was sat on the board for about 2 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
They were creating the slate for the third year, and it was doing good. There were up and coming businesses in there that had value to bring
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And I was put on the slate, and it was a sure thing. And I actually went to the board and I said, listen, I appreciate it, and I'm so honored that you would like to keep me on the board, but I think it's time for me to step back
Mm-hmm.
and allow somebody else to rise to the occasion and continue this fortune that we've created,
Okay.
and allow them to have an opportunity to make it continue to grow. There was mixed feelings with my board members.
I was about to ask that. What was your reaction from
That
the
that well,
board?
some of them were really caught off guard. Some of
Okay.
them thought that there was uh, a nefarious reason. Oh, you're doing this, or you're doing that, and I'd explain to them, no, it has nothing to do with any of that. It's that I've sat in a leadership position for 2 years. I don't know that I'm going to be bringing any new additional value to the organization,
Mm-hmm.
and that we should allow other people to also, have the opportunity to lead and take charge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not in my mind, that's not a bad thing. People get founder's disease,
Yeah,
and it happens, and it's
it
sad
does. It does.
because they take something and they hold it so tight that sometimes you end up strangling it. Well, it happens.
And unfortunately, it's true. I think the exact term is founder syndrome.
Founder syndrome. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, you're
yeah.
1,000% correct.
I
But go
didn't I
on.
didn't want to be that guy, and I wanted to show my fellow board members that it's okay. We're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're just stepping out of this leadership position. It doesn't mean that the next people coming in are going to do any better or any worse of a job. They're just going to do it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there as mentors for all of these people anyway. So what makes you think that we're not going to be there as mentors for them now when they step into this leadership position? And I think the majority of the board members kind of said, okay, yeah, this makes sense. And so some of them did a cycle out,
Mm-hmm.
and so many during the course of a year. I think when I stepped out, I think it was me and another board member who stepped out. Um,
And
and
that didn't mean they couldn't step back in again in the future, like if they wanted to, or
oh well, I'm sure that if I ever wanted to sit on the board again, just make my intentions known, and I'm sure that
people might have interest. Yeah.
Uh, you know, but I don't. I mean, the chamber runs it today. It still runs. It runs well. It runs
Yep.
good. You
And lo
know,
and behold, they do have an office, if I'm not mistaken. They do
I
have.
believe they have an office now, and they have a part-time employee. I think they call them
An administrative assistant, and they might have
something. Yes,
multiple because I think they have an
yeah,
executive director
an
and then
executive director. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
think they have two.
So that's good.
Yeah.
You know, would it have gotten here if I was still involved? Probably. Would it have gotten here any sooner or any longer? I really couldn't say.
No, what I do think though, what you're sharing with me and with everyone is the fact that um, your your thought process as a chamber founder and like that's invaluable because as I said before, like there's not been many times where this has been a thing. So like you sharing this is a big deal in a big way because most times, you know, people step on a board and they say, okay, it's been here. We got to do X, Y, and Z. There's these goals. There's this going on. That's that. There's not many things that started from scratch. Um, so that's really awesome to hear that you did do that. I guess looking at it now that you're off of the board, um, what's your interactions with the chamber as of today? Like looking at it, you're down the road a bit. Where have things progressed?
Well, I'm pleased to say that I think the board and the membership have been wise over the years in who they've selected as their board members, their presidents, their vice presidents, their treasurers and such. And I think they have continued to follow and evolve as the dynamics of businesses change over these years. And I will tell you that I'm so proud of all of them. Some of them were some of the board members over the years were brand new business owners, and I remember sitting in classes with them and showing them how to network, showing them how to run a business, showing them the basics of a business. And here they are as a board member of the chamber now, and a pillar in the community, and I'm just so proud of them.
That's awesome.
You know, I think this particular chamber though will continue to strive and do well as long as they continue to remember that they need to continue to evolve as businesses evolve and change. Since COVID, business has changed, and it's changed drastically.
Yes, it has. That's very true.
I'm still scratching my head from time to time, trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like when does the COVID era really end?
well,
And like they always say, the new normal. And do you feel like that's what you kind of scratch your head about is the new normal, or?
I'm gonna have no comment on this at this time.
That's fair.
Come get me 10 years from now, and I'll give you my story on that then.
We're still living it. They're still living it, you know. I know, like I'm always the optimist. It's like we're gonna come out on the other side better, stronger, and so on, so and so. But that's just me. I guess the other question that I have, which you benefited the chamber in so many ways. How and if did the chamber benefit you and your business?
You know, I don't honestly even look at it like that.
Okay.
Um, since the day I started my business, which has been a number of years ago now, it's a better side of over 20 now. So I had always had a feeling that as a business owner in the community, you are responsible for that community. You're responsible for the charities in there. You're responsible for the community. You're responsible to the city leaders. You're responsible to, you know, the organizations inside that community, and that as a business owner, that is an honor and a privilege that you get to have. Um, I think being part of the chamber, being a founder of the chamber, being one of the original board members, it was my honor to serve the community, in which has given me 20 some odd years of business and growth, employees, connections, conversations. Um, and I don't think I joined it for what am I going to get out of it? What do I get out of it? I don't think I've ever measured it in that sense. I've made some excellent contacts, which, again, have passed my name along to a colleague or a customer of theirs, and yay, okay, so my networking strategy worked, I guess. But I've never measured it in a sense of I put so much into it, what did I get out of it? I put into it without expecting anything.
Yeah.
Because my nature is to help. If I have information, if I know how to do something, if I have something that I can offer, then that's my contribution to humanity as a whole. You never know what inspiration you become to somebody until they come back to you years later and say, hey, you inspired me to do this, and I ended up doing that, and this now is a benefit to the community.
Gotcha. Now, my other question that I have is, and I might already know the answer, but I want you to say it. Would you do it again?
Of course I would.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Of course I would. I loved doing what I was doing.
It's interesting that you say that, because sometimes founders don't, and they're very much like, no.
Oh, let me go back to this where I stepped down after a couple of years to give somebody else an opportunity. I didn't really want to step down. I knew in my heart it was the right thing to do, to give others an opportunity to be in the leadership.
Gotcha.
But I really enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed watching this grow and morph. I enjoyed the camaraderie that we had with each other. Stepping down put me back into the community side of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the know on all the things that were going on with the board. I wasn't in the know with all the events and the planning and the strategies and the stuff like that. And I guess you kind of miss that a little bit.
Yeah, I guess,
but it was for the right reason.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, because as a boy, I was a Boy Scout. I don't know if you're aware or not, but I was part of the camp staff. And when you join the camp staff, you get to see all the magic of how it happens. And to go back as a Boy Scout again, it's a totally different feeling, because all the logistics and the moving parts and how they're doing things on the other side of the coin. And it's sort of like pulling back the veil of Disney and seeing all like how they do things and the underground tunnel and everything else. It takes a little bit of the joy out. So I could appreciate where you're coming from, because like a lot of people, once they get to a certain point, they don't want to go backwards. And like you don't look at it that way. You don't look at it as going backwards. You look at it as being like, this is a natural evolution of life. I can't always be on top. I have to be just a member again, and that's okay. And I won't know what's going on, but that's cool. Like, I know there's people that are ready to take it over where I'm not concerned about their decision making. Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. I mean, it's a volunteer organization at the end of the day, and like all volunteer organizations, it's going to sometimes go in directions you don't want it to or you don't agree with, but you ride it. You drive in your car and you think it's going to be a nice, easy, simple drive to the grocery store or to work or to whatever it is. So you get in your car and you start driving down the street, and now you hit the first red light, and you hit the next red light. You hit every red light on the way there, and you say, what the heck is going on today? It doesn't stop you from your journey. It just kind of is annoying sometimes. Or you're driving down and this car decides to pull out right in front of you and cut you off. Well, okay, you didn't like it, you weren't happy about it, but nothing you can do to change it either. So just keep going for the ride.
I know, I could feel that. And my thoughts automatically went to when I was a teenager. My thinking as a teenager is completely different to someone with your amount of experience, my amount of experience now, because I looked at that of like, I can never go back to Boy Scout camp because I know how everything's done, I won't enjoy it. And like when you're in your different place in your life, you're like, you look at the world differently. You're like, I get to chill out now. I don't have to be in charge of everything. I can enjoy the fruits of my labors and sort of be like, you got this, go run with it. And like, I'm going to show up because I put the time and effort in. And I guess that's the difference of a thinking between a 15 or 16-year-old and someone that's I'm in my 40s. You don't have to say how old you are.
Well, let's see, my forehead is bigger than yours, so
so like, yeah, but those decades of life experience go a long way. So I think you bring that out as well as a founder of a chamber, and sort of knowing it's okay to go back into the general mix of things and just enjoy it and get value from it, even if it's being an attendee of a training workshop that you may have helped created. And like sort of saying, I'm going to go through it a second or third time because there's still value to get to learn out of it. So am I overstepping my bounds of saying that, or?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's, in my life, I've had great opportunities to learn what I can learn and to grow as a person. And I think that I know that I don't regret any of those things, even the ones that didn't work out the way I hoped. Failure is part of success.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't fall down a couple of times, then how do you know what kind of a person you're going to be when you try to get back up?
Mm-hmm.
I think that regardless of what age you are, if you sit back and you watch enough, there is still something that someone can teach you. We've established that I'm older than 40.
And yes, you too can come on to this show. I'm not going to get a lot of women now, honey.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm older than 40. I have to ask my 14-year-old son how to do a snapshot on my phone, and how to send certain things out. He grabs it and he twiddles with it, and it's done. Here, Dad. Great. Okay, I'm glad you did it for me, but show me. And so I'm still learning these things. The dynamics of a business today. I'm gonna go back to the business plan, and anybody who's listening to this, feel free to contact our host here to get me your information. If you want some more information on how to set up a business plan and how simple it is, I'll be more than happy to help you do that.
That's very kind of you. Very, very kind of you.
It's important. And even if it's a business plan for your household or for your life or for your job, doesn't even have to be your own business that you own. These things sometimes help us find the direction. And I want to talk to the listeners out there. This morning when you got in your car and you needed to go someplace you didn't know how to get there, you plugged it into your GPS or your phone, the address, and you hit start. And it gave you this little map, and it showed you all these little directions, and turn left here and turn right there. And here's the funniest part. When you missed your turn, it said recalculating. That's what a business plan does, is it gives you the opportunity to recalculate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know where you need to get to, then how are you going to know when you've arrived?
Yeah.
So, I forgot where I was at.
Where you think you're going to, where
you're going to and coming to. Right. Sorry. That's one of those senior moments. It's something that is not hard, fast, and set in stone, but it is something that you gauge and you try. And all great plans, they always say, create a plan, work the plan,
mm-hmm.
and then plan to work.
Yeah.
And that's really the best advice I can give anybody and everybody.
Those are great pieces of advice. With that being said, we're pushing right around the hour mark, and I try to keep this right around an hour. Lenny, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You are definitely full of wisdom, and I hope that everyone has possibly gained a little bit of your wisdom today, and they now kind of have a way of your thinking when you started the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you for coming on the show.
Ed, thank you so much for having me. And I'm sure there's a comment section down below that'll fill up rather quickly. I'm interested to see what everybody out there has to say. Yeah. So please make your comments.
Well, thank you. And until next time, be safe, have a great day, and tune into our next episode of Interesting by Design. We have plenty already in the queue you can watch if you enjoyed this one. The other conversations we've had so far have been wonderful. So take care. This episode was made possible by Complete Wellness Medical Centers. Not feeling well? Stop by and schedule an appointment with them. They can help you out. This episode was made and produced by i4 Web Services. Visit i4webservices.com to learn more.